We switch gears. We talk a little Texas politics and a little news from the legislature during the special session. About 12 days left in the special session. Joining us right now from the Texas Tribune, it's Patrick Svitek. Patrick, hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us today. As I said, I think we have about, 12, 13 days left
That's right.
in the special session. So what has been accomplished so far?
Yeah, I mean, so far the special session has followed a pretty familiar script for anybody who watched the regular session play out during the regular session and now during the special session. The Senate moved very quickly to pass the governor's priorities. The House took a much slower, they would say more deliberate approach. And now the leaders are kind of, I think, beginning to try to figure out things behind the scenes about how this is all going to come to an end. If you recall, during the regular session, it didn't come to a very neat or clean end. There was a lot of bickering and back and forth toward the end of the regular session, and I think at this point we're on the path for that as well. But as you pointed out, we're 16 days, I think 16 or 17 days into it, 12 or 13 days left. So I don't think it's time to freak out yet. But just as a lot of people predicted heading into the special session, a lot of the governor's priorities are meeting resistance in the House, or they're just being bottled up in the House.
Well, I keep seeing news stories about different ways of tackling, the governor and the lieutenant governor. They've wanted property tax reform. There's been a few different news stories out, and including from the Texas Tribune, about different versions of property tax reform, property tax issues. What's going on with that? Are these just different, ideas that are being floated out by members of the House?
Well, I think there's actually, and I may regret saying this like 24 hours from now, but I think there's actually been some positive momentum on property taxes. As far as the governor's agenda is concerned, he really wants to see a bill get to his desk that includes these rollback elections, which would, further limit the ability of some cities and counties to raise taxes without voter approval. And right now, you have seen both the House and Senate advance proposals with rollback elections in them. The only difference is the so-called rollback rate, that exact number in each of the proposals. But you are seeing positive momentum on that. And so I think at this point it may just be, a matter of the House and Senate coming together and trying to figure out what exactly that rate should be. I think it's 6 in the House, maybe 4, I want to say, in the Senate. And so, that's an area I think where the governor is probably feeling a little good right now compared to a lot of these other items that he has on his agenda. Yeah,
the bathroom bill being one, or at least that's the one that gets all the headlines, right? That's the one you get all the protesters, for and against. And really, Patrick, we've seen even more businesses come out against, and corporations come out against the bathroom bill. Has that swayed anybody or swayed any opinions in the House? I mean, this thing, to me, it doesn't seem like it was getting anywhere anyways in the House. Has anything changed?
Nothing has changed legislatively. I mean, the Senate passed out its bathroom bill very quickly, like it does with the rest of the governor's priorities. The House referred some of the bathroom legislation to the State Affairs Committee, where it has not yet received a hearing. And so it looks like we're going to follow a pretty familiar path, just like we did during the regular session, in which it died in the House effectively. And I think the big question is, is Dan Patrick, like he did during the regular session, is he going to, prod the governor to call another special session to get this item done? And all indications right now are that the bathroom bill is not exactly the highest priority for the governor on this list of 20 items that he has on the agenda. He's talked much more, favorably and enthusiastically about property tax reform, for example, about some of the education proposals. So the governor so far hasn't signaled that this is, maybe even in the top 10 of his 20 issues for the special session.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if there was a special session called over the bathroom bill. You and I believe it was Jay Root over at the Texas Tribune, you both had a piece out yesterday about the speaker, Joe Strauss, wanting ethics reform included in a special session. My immediate thought was, It's not many things have even gotten past that the governor originally called. Now you want to add more, but what is the lieutenant? Or, I'm sorry, the speaker wanting to be added, and he's not the only one. There are a couple of House members that are wanting ethics reform added.
Yeah, a lot of this originated with two House members, Lyle Larson and Sherry Davis. They and a few other lawmakers held a news conference earlier this week in which they called for the governor to expand his call for the special session to include ethics reforms. Some of the proposals that they want to see progress on are, for example, closing a loophole that allows lawmakers to raise campaign money during the special session. That's something that the lieutenant governor and the speaker voluntarily said they won't do. And then a day after that, I caught up with Speaker Strauss, and I asked him myself, do you agree with your members that this is something that should be added to the call? And he said, I do. He said he definitely believes that they have some ideas that are worthy of consideration that didn't get out of their chamber during or just didn't get passed by either chamber perhaps during the regular session, and that he agrees with them that this is something he'd like to see added to the call. And so far, the governor's office has resisted, playing ball with any of these lawmakers who are trying to get different causes added to the call. And the governor's official line is that he'll happily consider adding other items to the call once they get through all 20 items that are already on the call.
Yeah, I mean, is this a move directed at the governor? Because, I mean, I'm sure your inbox is like mine. We get about 40 emails a day from the governor raising money during the special session, and some people have brought that up. Some have not liked that. Others have. They've contributed. I mean, is this aimed at the governor himself, or is this just a coincidence?
I think it's certainly not a coincidence. I think there's an element of it that involves hypocrisy. That the governor made ethics reform a emergency item during the regular session. Now he's apparently raising campaign money during the special session. I think that the people involved in this are all well aware of how how some of this plays as a kind of poke at the governor. So yeah, it definitely is. And, just to add on to what the summary I gave you earlier, the governor's office fired back at these two lawmakers who held a news conference earlier this week and accused them of showboating and said their constituents deserve better. So it's definitely gotten very, very nasty, as far as the back and forth over ethics reform in the special session is concerned.
Before we look ahead to next week, has the speaker and the lieutenant governor, have they had breakfast together yet? Lunch? I know the two said they both have open door policies, but they're not walking into each other's doors lately.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any one-on-one meeting yet. There was an interview earlier this week where Dan Patrick, lieutenant governor, said that he hasn't had a face-to-face meeting with the speaker one-on-one, specifically on policy, in 9 months. This obviously comes after the lieutenant governor has been very harshly critical of the speaker, and the speaker in some cases has responded in kind. And so it doesn't exactly shock me that they haven't broken bread quite yet, but just the practical realities of legislating as we get toward the end of this special session here may require them to finally sit down together.
That'll be interesting. Patrick, what are you working on right now heading into the weekend? What should people expect next week at the Texas Tribune?
Yeah, it's all eyes on the special session today on the House floor. You have a number of school finance proposals, that is something that is going to be related to an item on the call. I don't know how directly all these items are going to be related to what's on the call, but school finance is on the House floor today. And then next week we're waiting to see exactly what's going to hit the House floor and how related to the actual special session agenda those proposals are.
All right, Patrick, appreciate your time today, and we'll talk to you again next week, okay?
Thanks so much.
That's Patrick Svitek with the Texas Tribune, texastribune.org.